Welcome back to Superhuman Customs. I'm Steve Human, and we have something that we've never done before on the channel. We are doing a bit of a redo. So you'll remember that I did Jon Kent. I wanted to have him in his new costume from Action Comics and Adventures of Superman and all that stuff. And so I created this guy based off of the coat that I got from the wrestling figure that we used on Steel, and then we painted him. Well, from moment one, I felt like he's going skiing. It's a really big coat. And I was always like, what should I do? Well, I found a solution. Just this week, I found Grifter on sale for $9 on Amazon. And I thought, this guy with his coat and his arms, his jacket, will work perfectly. So we are gonna do a little bit of a redo on Jon Kent. We are going to pull the arms off of this Grifter. We're going to switch things up, and we're going to make him look a little bit more like how I envisioned him looking. So this is going to be a lot of fun. What am I going to do with the rest of Grifter? He's going to end up with all the spare parts that I currently have, which is, maybe I'll be able to find something to do with him. I don't know, but for right now, this is what we're going to do. So let's get moving. Well, we got Grifter soaking in some hot water so that he can be easier to take apart. First things first is we got to take off the coat here. So let's just pop the hands off. The coat comes off pretty easily, if I remember correctly. It just slides right off. There we go. Now what I'm going to do with Jon here is that I never liked this gunmetal gray color on him. It always looked too shiny. He's a darker gray, so we're going to paint him gray first. But let's go ahead and take Grifter apart as well. Okay, there we go. It's still a little bit more than I would like on him. Like, it still looks more coaty, but it looks better than the other. I think we'll trim this down around here. First thing, we're going to darken up this gray. We're going to deaden it a little bit because it's too shiny, and he's not shiny in the comic. So what I've done here, I actually didn't have a gray. I've just mixed some black Vallejo with some light gray Vallejo. And I think that that's turning out more the color that I want. I like how the gray's looking. So we'll let him dry for a little bit. Now what we're gonna do is, this is no longer gonna be a Superman coat. So I'm probably gonna have to, it looks like it's coming off. And I just super glued it on. And so it takes some elbow grease, but I should be able to peel it off. There we go, boom. Now that he's dry, I'm going to trim off some of this collar, because in the comics he does have a collar, but it's nowhere near as high as this. So I'm carefully going to try and get it cut. There we go. See? Nice and simple.
I've got the glue on these little pieces, and we are going to put them in place here on Jon. So I want him kind of up a little bit high, and I want him to go over the edge of the jacket because I'm probably going to need to trim them up a little bit. And so I'm just going to place them here. I'm going to add a little bit of a wash to the dark areas here on the coat. I'm going to go through, and then I'm just going to wipe, because I want these to hang out just in the folds.
All right, he's turned out pretty cool, but I'm calling it audible. After putting them all together and doing this, I've decided to make him the electric version that is currently in the comics. And so we're gonna take the coat off and we're gonna repaint him. So let's do it. All right, we're gonna go through this real quick. We're just gonna take him apart and we're gonna break stuff. That happens sometimes. So I'm just starting out filling in some of the gray on the arms and on the body and some of these areas, just because of the fact that not all of this got repainted when I put the coat on. So we're going to go through and do that. I am also going to start putting some of the blue on, and I'm also need to paint the shins and feet, because when he turns into his electric power, all of that becomes gray. So that's what I'm focused on right now, nice and quick. The funny thing is, I got that Grifter specifically to add the coat, and almost for a moment one I was thinking you should just do the Electro version because it's different than all the other Supermen. And I should have just done that. And so after doing all that stuff
and wrecking the grifter coat, I'm going through and doing what I originally planned to do, or what I originally wanted to do. Anyway, and that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. I got the grifter for practically nothing. I will figure out something else to do with him, and he will be just fine. But this Superman will be exactly what I envisioned in my mind, and that is more important. Now, when I put the red on the sides originally, it was all going to be covered by the coat, so I didn't really bother with having it come out too far. With this one, with the blue, I'm definitely going to have them come out further into his chest and abs. Partially because that's how it looks in the comics, and partially because I just think it's going to look way cooler having the blue be able to be seen a little bit more on both sides and going into the belt area. So that's what we're going to do. Before we get into cleaning up the lines on this guy, because we're going to need to do it along the sides and everything, I'm going to get the white taken care of. So the interior of the S is white on this Jon when he's in electric form, and then we're going to get the eyes too. Now, I'm not going to try pupils. We know sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. I'm just going to do like his eyes are kind of glowing, so I'm just going to go over the top of them. I think that's going to be the smartest way. It's going to look the coolest, and that is what we are going to do. So I'm painting the hands with a little lighter blue. At least in theory, it's lighter blue. It's not coming out as light as I think that it should. Because one of these hands I had to glue on and it was a different hand, and so they're not going to match. What I'm going to do now, because it didn't turn out quite as blue as I would like, is I'm going to take some white on this sponge and I'm just going to tap it and make it look so that it's got kind of a, like he's charging up. And then I'm going to take some electricity stuff, like some accent, the accessory stuff that I've got, and put it on his hands so that it looks like he's charging up to electrify somebody. You know what? I'm going to do the same thing with a little bit of glow-in-the-dark paint, just for the heck of it. Give him some cool, some glow-in-the-darkness in there as well. Now, in the comic, he has a little bit of blue in his hair on the curls, so I'm going to try and add that here. Just a little bit. I don't want it to be too dramatic, but I think no matter what I do, it's going to be kind of dramatic. So just go in, add a little bit of that. Just nice and simple. I don't want any more than that. One other thing I want to do is I've taken the blue just with some water. He's got a slightly bluer complexion, just slight. And so I'm going to take a lot of water and a little drop of paint and just mushing it around over here. Doing a little bit of dry brush of white over the gray just to lighten it up. Add some accents here and there. And along those same lines, I'm going to do a little bit of dry brush of my metallic blue. Just over the blue parts, just to give it a little bit of a sheen. Last but not least, I've decided to spray him with our pearlescent enamel, even the skin, because I want him to look like he's electric. And so I think this will give him a nice gloss. I know this isn't what we started out to create. We were going to add the jacket and all of that stuff, but I'm really, really glad that we made this switch, because I think on the shelf with the other Superman, he's going to look so much better. He's going to stand out so much more. Now, as you can see, one thing that's not comic accurate, I added some white here in the belt buckle just because it looks cooler. He has a little bit different symbol there, and it's just blue in the comic, but I think that looks cooler with the white. Really happy how this Jon Kent turned out. I'm really finding that the more I'm pushed and the more that I kind of experiment, the better things turn out. Like, I'm getting much more confident with the eyes over the last little bit of just getting the paint on there and getting the pupils and then taking an X-Acto knife and just going and carving out. I think it's really working out much, much better. So I'm just really grateful that I'm able to get pushed and to try new things, and I'm not as nervous as I used to be. I also love how the gloss, like on the skin,
it adds this almost where it looks almost electric, like you can see how it catches the light, which I normally wouldn't do because, you know, skin isn't glossy, but on him, being that he has this electric power, I think it turned out awesome. This is a great Jon Kent. You can get him discounted all over the place. So if you want to try this, I got this guy for like 13 bucks. So go ahead, purchase him on Amazon, find him somewhere, experiment, make him something unique to you as a character that you love. And yeah, I'm Stephen Human. Check out stephenhuman.com for all of my sci-fi thriller novels, and I will see you guys next week.